Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Halva for the Heart, Dying and Grieving in Diaspora. Today, I have my good friend Shivani joining us. Shivani Oshunfunleo Adeola is a death worker, a postpartum and post-abortion doula, and an herbal medicine walker. Shiv is a child of love and trying, a sibling of so many dreams and goals, Omo Oshun, grandchild of refugees during 1947 partition, grandchild of pratas, laughter, and great-grandchild of Ik Onkor, and so much dal. Shiv's known ancestors are from Sindh. In their blood are practices from Hinduism, Islam, Sikhism, Sufism, and more whose names were taken from us. Osunfunleu is a student of the soil, a student of grief, and a student of the moon. And they are learning, always learning. Shivani currently lives on and with Ohlone land in Oakland, California. I'm so excited for you to hear my conversation with Shivani today. I do want to say before we start that there is a mention of suicide. We don't go into it, but just a bit of a content warning before the episode starts. I've also included links on how to connect with Shivani if you'd like to work with them, especially if you're in the Bay Area. I highly recommend reaching out to them. They are a beautiful, beautiful soul. I know you're going to enjoy this conversation. Welcome to this episode of Halva for the Heart, the podcast where we talk about grief and diaspora and homeland and the messiness of it all. And today I'm talking to my friend Shivani, and I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. I guess we could start with like how we know each other. We've never met IRL. We're just online friends for now. I think it was during COVID. Yeah, you started hosting some online events, and I don't know how I found you on Instagram, but
I was so curious about that.
the algorithm, you know? Yeah, somehow you were suggested to me, and I signed up for one of your, what we were calling them, like moon, like
Circles?
Yeah, you were doing moon circles, right? Like monthly.
Something. Medicine. I don't remember what I was doing. It was late at night. I remember like people would fall asleep.
Yeah, it was early for me because I was here. It's
Yeah.
perfect. It was an interesting way to start my day because it was so relaxing. And the way you talk, and I mean, every space I've been with you has been so tender that it was really soft. And let's say, like, I've been in a lot of grief spaces, a lot of grief spaces since my mom died. And I don't think I've ever been in a grief space quite like yours that's just so soft. It's so gentle. And I don't know, it feels like there's absolutely no agenda. You just fully accept however anyone's showing up, and you do this thing where you just like name the things that seem too obvious to name. You just like name the small, and it just brings you back into the moment. And you're like, oh yeah. Like your videos lately about feet. I'm like, oh yeah, I do have feet. I don't spend my time thinking about my feet, you know? Yeah, you just have this way of speaking that, yeah, it brings you back into the small details that you kind of look over. We think grief is like this big, daunting thing, but it's just in the small moments.
Yeah. Thank you for reflecting that back.
So I want to know because when I found you, you were already doing death work and grief work, so I'm curious about like how you got started, how you got into it. What's your story? I don't actually know.
Ooh, this is fun. That's true, huh? Because it was like 2021, 2020, yeah, or 2020. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was around then that I had just started when we met.
Mm.
I had just started. I began my practice. Well, first I did a birth doula training in Oakland. I had withdrawn from school. I was like not doing great. I withdrew from school. I was like, what's the point? Nothing matters, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, somebody said, go take this doula training. And I didn't know what a doula was. So I was like, okay, let's try it. And it was a great training. It was in Oakland just for folks of color. It's called Roots of Labor. They're still around doing really good work. And yeah, it was an amazing training. And that was in 2018. And I actually still haven't been to a birth. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
my my birth doula, my doula practice led me very quickly into grief work. And I at first didn't even realize that's what was happening because in my head I was like, well, I have never been to birth, so I'm not a doula. I've never been to a birth, so I'm not a doula. Like I'm very I mean, I still feel very like, oh, I've never been to a birth. How am I? But birth looks different, for everybody. And when we lose somebody we love or when we lose parts of ourselves, we're being rebirthed. And like that's so much of where I end up, where spirit kind of took me there. Like I wasn't like, let's think about like it's just kind of where my heart took me. And I'm so grateful that my heart took me there because it's a place where a lot of people don't have a lot of company.
Mm.
It's not as talked about. It's not like as it's just people need good company there. And I'm feel so grateful to get to figure out how to be that good company because it's can be so lonely. And I guess the reason my birth work, the way I kind of got there was after my training. I was really struggling with my mental health. And then my experience with my mental health helped me realize that like these things that I thought were like my heavy weights to hold, like my depression and things like that, were actually my gifts and were
Mm.
ways because of my experience and the depth of which I've been in the dark, like that 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 doesn't have to be like like a heavy anchor that pulls me down. That can actually be what lifts me up and what helps me see others in a way others often don't get to be seen, because and me really working on like my own mental health and like stuff like that brought me to death work, which I think feels really special because it comes back to like I always say like the medicine we give is the medicine we need the most. Like it always comes back to that. And that feels very grounding because it's like the medicine we need the most is also the medicine our blood needs the most, our ancestors need the most. So it's like, okay, maybe it's been a lot of lineages in the making. This death work practice has been a lot of lineages in the making. And maybe there was somebody who did it a while ago. And I just don't know their names. I don't know, like, because that stuff wasn't recorded and that kind of labor, I mean, still isn't valued in the way it really deserves to be valued.
Wow. Yeah. I want to talk more about your connection to your ancestors and how they guide you in your work. Because yeah, I've been thinking a lot about as well. Like I'm sure there are people in my lineage too who have done this work. Because it doesn't feel like mine. It feels like it's been passed down.
Mhm. Yeah, that feeling feels so real. I think it is real. Like I'm like a little child. Like why would I know these things? Like where does this wisdom comes from? Not just me. Like it's not mine. It's like it's taken like long lifetimes, my lifetimes, generations of my blood. Like it's just helpful for me to think about it in that way because sometimes I can put a lot of pressure on myself, like for a lot of things, but specifically for like having my practice like look a certain way or like I
Mm.
don't know what I don't know be like successful in like this world, and it helps to remember that if this is knowing that this is something that's been passed down, then it's already successful. Like there's no it's successful because I'm alive and I'm just breathing into it, and that means that the ancestors who longed for it, that are dancing. Like that's successful. To me, that's success. Like the fact that we're even having this conversation in a world where they don't want us to have these conversations and feel our hearts and feel our feet and like, and so I feel my ancestors, I feel that they're very proud of me. And it's been very sweet recently to feel into that, because that's not a feeling I've always like felt. Like, it's hard sometimes to feel that people are proud of you and like what you're doing and who you are. But recently I've been feeling very strongly about knowing that they are proud of me, and that I feel the days that are really good are the days where I say, like, please speak through me, like, use my tongue, like, I move out of the way so you can speak what you need to speak, love what you need to love, like, make what you need to make, like, say what you need to say, kind of thing. So, and it's taken a lot of like intentional, like, for example, last year, my ancestors were very clear in telling me that I'm gonna get massages every month, once a month.
Nice.
I need a massage once a month, they told me, because I was out, like, although the grief I was holding for different people is just weighing in my body. And I was like talking about it and releasing it and stuff, but still in my body. And I
Yeah.
was like having a hard time. And suddenly I had this feeling of like, I need to go to the massage. I need to get a massage regularly. And it's like those thoughts don't come from nowhere. I know they told me that because they know, like, this is also their body. And they're like, we need a massage.
Yeah, and it's nice to, it also like it takes the ego out of it, right? Like it's not like, oh, I want a massage. It's like, no, it's not even my choice. It's not my choice. I'm not in control. I want to ask if there was a shift because I don't actually know, but are you an immigrant or your parents are immigrants?
My parents.
Okay, yeah, same. So, I feel like growing up in immigrant families, the elders are like, it's usually, I'm stereotyping here, but it's usually like what they expect of you is negative pressure. And you're like, oh, I have this obligation, I have to do things. But you've kind of shifted it in terms of like they're calling upon you to do something instead of
Mm.
like, oh, I have to do these things because my ancestors are telling me to. I have to get a massage because they're telling me I have to get a massage.
Mhm.
Did you notice that? Did you grow up feeling that way? That's my question. Have you felt, was there a shift when you like changed your relationship with your ancestors in terms of like an obligation I have to live up to like
Mm.
a gift, an invitation to do things differently?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I absolutely felt that growing up. And it's so interesting because I've never actually thought about when that shift happened, but it did happen because it wasn't always like this. And especially like with the not even my ancestors, like people who are still here, like my family, my aunties, my uncles, like all the people who talk a lot, like they
Yeah, they're always
they
telling you what they think and what you should
yeah,
do. Yeah.
like I'm trying to think. It's such a good question. I think I've been thinking a lot about like my queer and trans ancestors who may not have been able to like be in their queerness and in their transness, and maybe who may have been able to be in their queerness and in their transness. But it's just like I feel their longing to live fully overtakes any negative pressure. Like, it's not, oh, I have to do this. It's, oh, I have this life while I have this body. And all the people who came before me who, couldn't express and be in their bodies in the way they maybe wanted to be in their bodies. Like, so I must. And not because I have to, but because like it's a gift to get to, like, and I want to. And I think that also like coming out of like years and years of like suicidal ideation is like that building that desire of like, it's not I have to, it's not I get to sometimes like wouldn't quite do it, but it's something of like desire, like I want to, like it's what I want for my life, like, and I'm allowed to want things for my life, you know, especially when it's like I see people wanting things like I want to have a home and I want to have like a family and I want like, but I think for me, been really trying to focus on the feeling, like what is the feeling that I want? Because then if the desire, the feeling of like living fully, living so fully, then things may happen in my life that like I didn't necessarily want, but the commitment to living fully is what I feel like shifted it from pressure into more like maybe gratitude. Feels like such a small word for the bigness of the feeling.
Yeah, it's amazing. I also feel like, I don't know, I feel like my mom and my grandma, who I grew up with and who died, were very judgy when they were alive. But I feel like something happens in ancestorhood where they kind of just like lose that judgment. And I feel just kind of overwhelming, not just support, but like tender love instead of ordering me to do things and judging me. So I think there's, yeah, I think it's something about like leaving this realm of capitalist expectation that the ancestors are kind of just like, yeah, no, do what you want.
Main thing is live.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe it's a lot of like regret that they didn't. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah. On the topic of ancestors, go into more of the lands that we live on, grew up on, and the lands that our ancestors are from. And as someone in diaspora, how have you connected to have you been to your ancestral homeland? And how do you stay connected to that?
Yeah, so my parents were born and raised in India. I was born in LA and I was raised primarily in the suburbs. And my grandmothers live in India, South India now, and then but before they lived there, my family is Sindhi. So Sindh is a place in currently Pakistan. And so my great grandmothers and my grandfather and my other great grandparents lived over there. And then the 1947 India Pakistan partition happened. And so then the people of Sindh were like Hindu and Muslim and like all different people. And so then like they had to leave. And so I've never been to Sindh, but I've visited my family. I feel very lucky to have gotten to visit many times growing up, and I'll be going this year. And but both my grandmothers are still alive. My grandmothers are best friends, actually.
Sweet.
They they're very funny. And So if I don't hear the tea from one, I hear it from the other. So yeah, I should call them tonight. Both my grandfathers have passed away. One, my nana, my mom's dad, passed away in 2022. My dada, my dad's dad, passed away in 2014. And I was lucky to meet my great grandmother in this life.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad grew up with his grandmother, so my dad's mom actually outlived her son. So my grandfather passed in 2014 and she passed in 2018. Yeah, that was I wear her ring. Her fingers were really tiny, so it's kind of tight, but I can't, I love it. Like I can't take it. I don't like to take it off because I just feel very lucky that I got to meet my great grandmother. And that when I was little and we would go, like she was there, like she was present. She was very active, like she was very vocal. She was very like the last few years she was mostly in the bed. And it's interesting because her digestion and everything like still worked perfectly. Like she would use the bathroom every day, she would eat every day, even a little bit. But it's like that so much of my connection to my homeland is food,
Yeah.
like so much of it. And I've been thinking about her a lot recently because she ate every day at the same time. And no matter what was happening, like she would eat properly. Like she would sit down and she would eat. And that's not how I am right now. Like I'm like eating breakfast on the way to this and like whenever I can fit it in. And sometimes I don't eat breakfast and maybe lunch is at 12, maybe lunch is at 4. We'll see. Like, but there's such wisdom in eating like at the same time and with such discipline and devotion. So I've just been thinking about that a lot because I feel like it's how we build also strong bodies. Like it's just hard. It's hard to, it's different. Like they ate together, they cooked together. I live alone. And I'm like, I
Right.
want to cook just for myself. That desire, like it's that desire. Like I'm still trying to find my way to that desire of like cooking for myself. Because when I start cooking, like recipes that my mom uses and my grandmother's, I love it. But it's getting to that desire that's really feels really hard sometimes.
And it's so much easier to do it for other people.
And feels so much more joyful.
Yeah.
But I need to eat still. Like
Yeah.
so I need to figure out what
Yeah. I wonder if we like weren't meant to live alone, that's yeah.
it feels like it.
Yeah. I think that's so beautiful that you were able to have a relationship with your great grandmother. That's so sweet. I think about I never met my great grandparents, but in particular my maternal great grandmother, my mom's mom.
Mm.
I remember the day she died. She was in Iran still, and I had never met her. And
Mm.
I think it was about like 8 or so.
Mm.
And my mom and I were in the car driving. I like distinctly remember which stop sign we were at. Like that's how ingrained this memory is in my mind. And my mom told me, your great grandmother died today. And
Mm.
I just burst out in tears. And my mom was so confused. She was like, you never even met her. Why are you sad? And like I was an 8-year-old child, 8 or 9 or so, and I was like, I don't know why I'm crying, but I didn't even know she was alive. That's what upset me. I was like, no one even told me she was still alive. And now I'm finding out that she just died, and I was just so heartbroken by it. It's like I didn't even know I could have met her.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, why is this a big deal?
Oh my wow.
But so I've been like talking with her a lot, in particular because everything I've ever heard about her was negative. Like no one in my whole life has ever said anything positive about this woman. Um,
Mm.
and so I just like I don't know, I've been trying to talk with her and trying to like learn more about her and like the life that she lived and kind of like suffered through. Because the thing everyone always said is that she was always very grumpy and she was bitchy and angry at everyone. And I think about like all the things she had to put up with and that
Mm.
she suffered a lot in her life. And I'm like, of course she was a bitch. I mean, I would be like, yeah. So I've been talking with her a lot and yeah, I just want to offer her. On the one hand, I feel like I'm able to offer her grace because I didn't know her personally. You know what I mean? Whereas my mom was like, she was the worst. My mom just like had such bad memories about her that she never spoke kindly of her. Yeah, so it's interesting how I don't know if I'm like doing the healing work or if it's just like I'm removed enough that I don't have the emotional history of it with her.
Mm. Either way, you think it's still healing work, even though that could
Yeah,
still, right?
yeah, I think so. I mean, if anything, I'm at least acknowledging, how much she suffered and how hard that must have been and why she had the personality she did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My great grandmother also had kids really young. I guess, yeah, because we actually didn't know how old she was.
Mm,
I mean, I feel like that's pretty common for like
yeah.
elders. You know. And it's interesting because now, like, I'm trying to do my mom's birth chart. I'm like, what time were you born? She's like, what do you mean, what time? I don't know what time.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like for some of us, they wrote down like what time, the place, and all that. And then my mom, she doesn't know the time. My grandmother, she knows the date. My great grandmother, they don't know the date, anything like, so it's just interesting.
Yeah, the things that they put value on or did put value on before. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know and do my great grandmother's birth chart.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
What's her moon? What was her Venus
Yeah.
in?
Yeah. I hadn't even considered that. Yeah.
She was very I don't know how to describe, stern, strict.
Mm. And that seems common. I don't know. It just seems like a
Yeah. My dad would tell me like, yeah, I would tell her I only want to eat one roti. I don't want two. And so she would go and make like a giant roti.
just petty.
Yeah.
The things that like they control what they can, or like, well, okay. And then they force you to eat the whole thing.
It's love.
Yeah, it is love. Yeah, so much of love, like you're saying, food as a connection to homeland. Yeah, it's like the food is the love. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Even now, like when I call my grandmothers, it's hard to know what to talk about, like sometimes, but I can talk about food, like, what did you eat for breakfast? Oh, what did you eat for
Mm.
lunch? Oh, what are you gonna eat for dinner? What did you eat? Like, it's just always something to talk about.
So you're showing your love through just even like asking about what they're eating.
Hmm.
Yeah, sweet. I want to ask you what your death work is in service to. Would you consider I guess you said you haven't been at a birth or with a birth, but would you consider your death work and birth work kind of like the same work? And
Yeah.
okay, that's the vibe I get from you.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's just threshold walking. I mean,
Mhm.
I get the sense that your birth work, death work is in service to your ancestors, but is there more to that you want to speak about?
Yeah. I think I also try to hold that it's whoever I'm working with, like it's also in service to their ancestors, like the
Mm,
work. And it's interesting because everybody I work with doesn't always have that framework, right? That's not always a framework people can relate to. But in my heart, I keep that in my yeah, I keep that in my heart, knowing that like the work we're doing, the work that it goes beyond this moment. And my birth work has mostly looked like post-abortion work,
Mm.
abortion doula, postpartum work, and so it's very like it's right there, you know, like in terms of death work. So it's yeah, it's not really something I try to separate even because even for folks who are postpartum and like have the baby is born and it's like the entire life is different. Like life changes and there's a kind of death in that and birth, of course, you know. But I think sometimes the part like postpartum can be really hard because a lot of people don't acknowledge all the deaths that happened. Like it's you know, and it's like well, we have to acknowledge that in order to be able to live in this with, with this new life in a good way, you know, and not like project things. And anyways, so yeah, my death work, I pray that it's in service to my ancestors and to the ancestors of those who I work with. And it's interesting because I never thought about it like this, but somebody said it, and in service to the people I work with, of course. And somebody I was speaking to, they were talking to me, we were talking about something, and I was feeling sometimes I have that insecurity of like not doing so much of that work is listening.
Mm.
I feel, oh, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not, doesn't look like this work thing that's supposed to, you know, like capital things. And I was having those thoughts. And they were like, Shivani, I just want you to know that my grandchildren want to say thank you. And they haven't had babies yet. They're like, my future grandchildren want to say thank you because they're
Mm.
going to hold things that I'm holding because we're clearing it. And so I didn't realize it, but like now I hold a prayer. It's like my death work is in service to the babies who haven't been born yet, the life that hasn't arrived yet. May their life be freer, fuller, lighter, more joyous, more alive, like whatever we need to do now to make that happen, may we do it. And it's often like really hard work, but we
Yeah.
do it together. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like unprocessed grief and how, because I've been with the recent war between Iran and Israel, um, I just saw in my family and in my like the elders in our community how much like re-traumatizing and triggering it was in memories in terms of the Iran-Iraq war. And I talked to my aunt who lived through that war, and she was in Tehran and talking about, she's like, don't worry. She was trying to make me feel better and calm my anxieties, saying like, don't worry, Misha. We've survived war before. We will survive this war too. Like the Iranian people will always be around. Like we'll, you know. And I didn't say this, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, but you haven't processed any of it.
Mhm.
And like it just gets passed down to us. And
Mhm.
so, and then now I see, oh, everyone's like, because the recent war was so short, quote unquote, you know, we're supposed to be grateful that it's over and go back to our lives and everything's fine. And I'm like, no one's processing any of it.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I see it, it's already manifesting in the Iranian diaspora spaces I'm in. I'm seeing people have like short tempers and lashing out and blaming people.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to like gently just be like, maybe we should slow down. You know, let me ask you how you're feeling right now. And there's a lot of this,
Resist.
yeah, resistance, the sense of like, I can't slow down to feel my feelings because I have to do work. And if I slow down to feel my feelings, I won't be able to do the work I need to do. And it's like, okay, but that is the work.
It's really hard to communicate that when a person is in a different headspace.
Yeah. And I get it, like they're in survival mode, but I think about like my mom and my elders and how like my mom passed down this sense of like you need to be strong, you need to be resilient, you need to be independent, all like constantly. Like don't depend on anyone in your life. Like you need to count on you and only you. And
Mm,
for me, realize now that like, oh, she lived her entire life in survival mode, her entire
mm,
life. She didn't slow down ever.
mm,
And so now trying to unlearn all those things that she taught me and how do I get the people around me? Like, I can't force it upon them, but and my death work at least, that's kind of what I'm hoping to initiate is because I hear a lot of children of immigrants talking about how, at least in the Iranian space, about how like during the war, how they were saying like I feel so freaked out, I feel so scared, and my parents just seem totally chill, and I don't
mm,
understand why they're not feeling these things. And I'm like, yeah, because they're stuck in survival mode. They've been dissociating for decades. This
mhm,
is just another iteration of that. So we've been talking a lot about how like it's like the next generation who, grew up in this relative safety that has the capacity to feel the things. And so it's kind of like we were talking about obligation, like it's an obligation that
mhm,
we go through it and process what wasn't processed before.
mhm. For ourselves, for them, and yeah. Yeah, and that's why it may even feel heavier because so much of it isn't ours, but that doesn't mean it's not our reminds me of Spider-Man, like with great power comes great responsibility. Like with great grief comes great responsibility. Yeah, it's not all mine, but it's my responsibility to tend to it.
Yeah. And sometimes it just feels like, I don't know, like you don't even know how. Like I don't even know what I'm grieving, but I still have to
Mhm.
tend to it.
Mhm. And if like people have like how you were saying like dissociated for years and years and years, then it's like then it might take years and years and years to come back. And I guess that's where I have to remind myself like that these things take time. As much as I want everybody to slow down right now, even that is not a very slow down type of energy.
It's urgent. You have to slow down. Yeah. So I guess my last question is, how do you stay soft in this world? Kind of on this topic of just
Mm.
what do you like, how do you tend to your grief in a way that is gentle with yourself and not like, I have to do all this work?
Recently, I've been going to the river.
Mm,
That's been really helpful because I see how big the river is. And there's parts of the river that move so slowly, and there's parts of the river that move so fast, and that changes based on the time and the wind and everything. And being in a place where I can just see so much water allows me to like be softer with my grief. I'm noticing like the river, it's not like the river stops rivering. Like the like it just rivers. It's rivering right now, even the rivers that are underneath our feet that we may not see there. And I try to think about that from my grief. It's like it's not something that it's just always happening when I'm making breakfast, when I'm showering. And sometimes the river rushes and I'm crying. And sometimes the river is quiet and I'm out dancing with friends. Like it's and trusting that my job is to not make any dams.
mm,
My job and if there were dams built to break them in a safe way, that's my job. And if I can do that and continue to show up by the river in my heart and the river's outside, then the grief will move because the grief must move. Like it just must. My intention is there. So it will. Like and trusting that this life will be long, inshallah, and there will be time, and the other thing that helps keep me soft is friendship. More and more friendship and like chosen siblinghood has been, like, people often talk about like romantic love and stuff like that, just in terms of like, I don't know if I feel like that's what it's just more talked about, but the love of friendship and siblings, that keeps me softer than sometimes I even want to be. I just want to harden up. I want to shut down. I want to like.
It's easier to be hard. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people who really love you, the people who really love me, like, and who see me when I have a hard time seeing me, they help keep me soft. Yeah.
Well, I'm grateful for your friendships.
Me too.
Yeah. That's sweet. Okay, I think we'll start wrapping up on that note. Is there anything you want? Any plugs? How can people find you? Does the capitalist part coming back in?
Oh.
We were so soft for so long. I say you just started your own little. Is it a what are you calling it? Your little video mini series.
So I don't understand how to, like, technology is very confusing for me. So I can't figure out how to like actually make a podcast, but I understand how to make reels. So I was like, let's start with this and let's call it a podcast and let's see what happens.
I can help you with the podcast part if you want.
Really?
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah, because I don't really understand like how, where, what, yeah, all those questions. But I would love to learn from you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been loving your short little videos that you're putting out there.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, there's so much wisdom. You have so much wisdom.
I called it Of Sweetness and Spirit because I was like, my name is Shivani and it starts with the S, and I want something more S. I want more S's in my life. So it's like Of Sweetness and Spirit. And then I also don't have to worry about like what it's going to be about as much, because people are like, what it's going to be about? I'm like, it says Of Sweetness and Spirit. That's what it's going to be about.
Duh. What more do you need to know?
So you can find me there, Of Sweetness and Spirit, or Death Work with Shiv on Instagram.
Are you gonna start doing your? I miss your moon circles. That's
You
all. I
do?
just. Yeah.
There was a point where there weren't people coming. So
Okay.
I felt very discouraged, but somebody told me, it was like, it's not about people coming, it's about you showing up regardless. Yeah, maybe I would love, because I miss them too. I miss seeing people. I miss like, it was a way my mom and I connected, like,
Mm.
so.
It was so beautiful to watch you and your mom. I loved it every time. I was like, wow, your mom like sees you as like a fellow human and not just like a child. I, I never had that relationship with my mom. She always saw me like she was the mom and I was the kid, you know? And it's one of those things that I feel like, at least from my perspective, a lot of white families have a bit more equality between generations. And I feel like immigrant families are usually like, no, there is a
Yeah.
hierarchy and we're going to keep it forever.
It's so interesting that you see that, because I'm like, oh, I don't feel that.
Oh, really? That was funny. I just thought like, the snippets from the calls and stuff. And I don't, even the fact that she was like asking you for advice, that I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, my mom and I were funny. It's been really sweet to, so yeah, when her dad died, is I was already kind of doing this work. And so it was just like, I don't think she really was understanding until that moment. And then it
Mm,
felt like it was like she could see. It was like my grandpa helped. Almost it felt like my grandpa helped her see me more.
Mm.
And it's strange because I didn't feel that for most of my life. Like, and so now I'm like, whoa, like this is a new feeling. And it's something that I want to show up for more, I think, because I can be very quick to be like, but you don't get it. But you don't get it. But
Mm.
I
Yeah.
can be in my little child bag.
Hmm. Yeah, like you said, things like take time, but also like relationships shift over time. And yeah. I want to say that you hosted, it's so long ago now, which is so sad, but you hosted a like prayer circle for Gaza.
Mm.
And that was like the most impactful. I've been to a few like online events for Gaza, and that was just so beautiful. That was just, I think it opens up something in me that like I was feeling, I was grieving for Palestinians,
Mm.
and I thought I was doing the work, and then some, I don't know, the way you hosted it, it felt less like, oh, I'm grieving for those people, and more like, oh, it's all like it's us.
Mm.
Yeah, so I want to thank you for that, because that was really, it really shifted the way that I engage with the Palestinian struggle. And like again, like you were so tender and soft with it. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh,
I felt like I was crying for my ancestors, like they're but like for just our ancestors.
thank you for reflecting that back. Because after that one, I was like, I don't know how that went. Because it's a big thing to hold space for.
Yeah.
I feel like how is that even like it felt like what's questions of like what's the point? Like this
Mm,
much like so it feels really helpful to hear that back because I can get very in my head about it. And maybe we do it again soon. I feel like people haven't been as much.
yeah, yeah. It feels like it's getting to the point where people are numb to it
Mm.
because it's been so long. Yeah.
Maybe we can do something together.
That'd be great. I'd love that. Yeah. I've been trying to, because I feel like we balance each other out. I feel like you're so soft, and like that's what I'm trying to work on. Because I held a grief circle for Gaza a couple of months ago, and I the angle I took with it was more because I was invited to come talk to a group of activists
Mm.
who, like, I was told that they've been like protesting and all these things, but they
Mm.
haven't paused to grieve, right? Um, and I heard from them, one of them said like, "Oh, taking the time to grieve is just selfish.
Mm.
Like people in Gaza are actually suffering. Who am I to grieve?"
Mm.
And so the angle I went with it was more about how grieving is activist work.
Mm.
You know, like trying to reframe it as like you are being an activist by doing this,
Mm.
which I think resonated for them.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd love to collaborate with you on something similar.
Yeah.
I think we have different gifts and skills, and yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. You would keep us on time. You'd be like, what? 5 more minutes.
I feel like yeah, I feel like you enter this realm where you're like time is just a concept, which is totally important, and I love that. It's what I love about your spaces is that it feels like a different realm.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the space too, for allowing me to just talk, talk, talk.
Yeah, it's been great. Okay, any final things you want to say, or are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.